And this week's train spot of the week. Two First Trans-Pennine Expresses pass each other southbound from Heald Green. One heading in this direction towards Middlesbrough, the other down to Manchester Airport. And here it comes. Hi. And today's train spot of the week. The Freebie Wi-Fi tram, number 3054, leaves Piccadilly Gardens.
Free Wi-Fi!
Bye! Bye! August. Enjoy. And the train leaves Barberini. Ooh, Barberini. And this week's train spot of the week. Metropolitan, I forgot to mention, we actually visited London after Rome, so it was last weekend. A Metropolitan line S-Stock train arrives in Euston Square Station, bound for Wembley Park. And this week's train spot of the week, a Kirkhulam train from Topolca to Budapest daily, passes a campsite in Balaton-Almaty. And this week's train spot of the week, a Kotitsa train, Siemens Desiro from Germany, passes the same campsite in Balaton-Almaty and it's bound for Budapest daily. And this week's train spot of the week, a green Tekergö passes the same campsite. It's green because it's not actually owned by MAV, but it's owned international. It's an international, so it's a set of international services. Although this particular one isn't leaving the border. It's only going as far as Szombathely, starting from Topolca, running via Kelenföld in Budapest, but not terminating at Budapest. We're going further.
Yeah.
Oh no, my bad. Sorry, it's coming from Szombathely and heading to Topolca. And this week's train spot of the week. A blue Tekergö, so a regional Tekergö, travels from Budapest daily to Topolca and passes the campsite. Again, there are 4 types of trains that pass this campsite, so after this it'll all be new train spots.
Jöttem veled az autótól, vagy a motorvég? Hú, ideig van bit.
Yeah, it was.
Ja, mind a kettőt.
It was with me, but I fell asleep.
Aha.
And this week's train spot of the week, class 350/405, leaves Heald Green. Bye. And here is our train, the express line. I service direct to Cascas, calling at a bunch of other stations as well. because as the local stopping service ends here, that means from here, the doors opened before the train stops moving. That means from now this becomes a local stopping service. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, 390, number 148, Virgin Trains Pendolino service to London Euston, departs from platform 7 at Manchester Piccadilly. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a double Piccadilly tram leaves Piccadilly for the reverse siding. Now you're probably thinking, there are no double Piccadilly trams. Well, if you read my blog, you'll find out why. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a Northern Class 323 bound for Alderley leaves platform 8. It is number 323 at 224. Bye. What? There seems to be a 350 here, parked at platform 11. For the 8. Okay, hang on. Something weird is going on here. Something fishy. It says it's not in service. I think the 0729 must have been cancelled, and they just pulled into here to drop the passengers off.
No, but it was a 185.
It says it's empty or not in service. Oh, look at that! The sign says Crewe via Manchester Airport. This can't possibly be the Crewe via Manchester Airport.
No, it says Northern underneath it.
Exactly, but this platform's too short to stack trains. Maybe they're going to pull it out before the train arrives.
But if you see that side, it's red. It's red.
Yeah, they're preparing to pull it out, that's right.
There's no one in it then.
Well,
Okay, that's just weird. The old and the new.
yeah, there's a 170. Yeah, there's a 350. Which is actually quite convenient because now we actually have a chance to take a proper look at it. Because it's always rushing past us. We've never really got to appreciate this train that much before. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a Manchester Piccadilly bound Northern Class 323 pulls into the Manchester side platform at Gatley Station. Bye. It's a Freightliner. Class 90. I didn't introduce this one because I didn't actually know what it was going to be. Couldn't see because it's dark. Didn't know Freightliner operated Class 90s, electric freight locomotives. And I don't know what they're doing here. So normally a Class 66 or a Class 67 diesel train here. I've never seen a Class 90 here before. And this week's train spot of the week, the 0745, although it's quite delayed, Class 350 First Trans Pennine Express to Edinburgh, departs from platform 14 at Manchester Piccadilly. Should be departing. The whistle went. Yeah, there we go.
How weird would it be? This way. It's not leaving. I did not want
But the electric noise keeps getting louder and louder, but it doesn't leave. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Wow, so it's actually quite majestic when leaving.
It is.
It is so majestic.
Yep.
It's a lie.
It's a double. It's an 8-car, so it's actually a lot longer than you think. It's nearly as long as a 9-car Pendolino, being 8-car. It actually almost reaches down right to the kind of boundary between platforms 14 and 14B. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a rare Network Rail test train, stands at the siding behind platform 1 at Manchester Piccadilly Station. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a Metrolink M5000 tram leaves St Peter's Square stop in Manchester city centre en route to Altrincham. Next stop, Deansgate. In the distance you can see another tram, sort of Rochdale, approaching. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, an empty Class 66 runs on its own past Heald Green. It's very rare that you actually just see a locomotive on its own, but they have it at about 12 o'clock on most weekdays and passes Heald Green after dropping off its load, wherever it's just been. I don't really know. Freight's not really my area of expertise. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a Class 142 and 150, bound for God knows where, passes Heald Green. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, the 1748 Northern service to Manchester Airport, formed of a 142 and a 150 coupled, leaves Heald Green en route to Manchester Airport. Yes, it is a pacer train. Bye. This week's train spot of the week, the Class 185 First Transpennine Express to Manchester Airport, departs from Heald Green Station. It is Class 185, number 132. Bye. A very special train spot of the week, a DB Schenker with a Canadian leaf thingy, holds a Canadian maple leaf, holds a Network Rail laboratory test train with EVT. Bye. And this week's train spot of the week, a cross-country class, we can't actually see because the number's covered, it's either a Voyager or a Super Voyager, bound for Cardiff Central. This week's train spot of the week, the 1610 First Transpennine Express service to Manchester Airport departs from Heald Green. What? Oh yeah, I can... Yeah, I can fully well see that that's a northern train, thanks. Class 156, number 429, another one at the front. The reason is because the 170s were cascaded to Chiltern, so the 185s from Manchester Blackpool were transferred to Manchester Cleethorpes services. Northern leased out some trains to the First Transpennine Express for the Manchester Blackpool route, and Direct Rail services loaned out some loco-hauled carriages for the Cumbrian coast. So basically our nice Class 185 has been replaced with a Class 156. Thanks, David Cameron. Vote Conservatives. Yeah! See you next week. In this week's train spot of the week, Class 350 number 404 First Transpennine Express Desiro to Manchester Airport departs from Heald Green. In this week's train spot of the week, or more of a tram spot, a double berry tram in from Piccadilly. What? Yeah, because of some events at Heaton Park between today and Sunday, there's extra capacity between... There you go.
Services will be really busy, so allow plenty of time to travel to Heaton Park. For further information on your journey, please visit www.metrolink.co.uk or call 0161 205 2000. We hope you have a great time.
Exactly. And this week's Trainspot of the Week, a cast off London Class 319 running the Manchester Liverpool service, number 319, number 386. Passes healed green. Thank you for voting Conservatives, everybody. Bye. And this week's Trainspot of the Week, a Class 508 Merseyrail train bound for Southport, arrives in the northbound platform of Hall Road on the fine afternoon of Saturday, the 4th of July. This week's train spot of the week, a cross-country train run by Arriva, part of Deutsche Bahn, arrives in at Manchester Piccadilly and will later leave for Plymouth. And in a moment I'll find out what class it is. It is a cross-country class 220 Voyager number 031. In this week's train spot of the week, a lone class 66 537 passes healed green. In this week's train spot of the week, first Transpennine Express service to Manchester Airport, headed by class 185, number 133, leaves healed green. The rear train, because it's two coupled, which we'll find out in a minute, is class 185, number 137. See you next week for the next episode of the David Frankal Show. Goodbye. And this week's train spot of the week, the 0756 Northern service to Liverpool Lime Street, made up of class 156 Super Sprinter number 542, stands at platform 14B today rather than 14 for some reason. 452, sorry. They are soon due to be replaced by new electric 319s. See you next week.
You can see it's crying.
Duncan, it's a train. Bye.
Yes, it is.
Some interesting charter cars here at Longsight Depot, headed by a Deltic, and that is our train spot of the week. It is, no idea, 5H28. It's got that number plate at the front. I'm not sure what its class number is.
Sure that is from the East Lancashire Railway.
Nah. It's meant to be a West Coast Railway charter. There are lots and lots of Deltics around. Very interesting. This week's train spot of the week, class 319, number 262, Northern service to Liverpool, passes healed green.
Hello. Now, experiment.
Duncan is now going to shake up a Coke bottle in this unexpected segment. Literally, I was completely not expecting this. Go on, try and open that.
Oh,
Just fills up the entire bottle. This is going to go horribly wrong. Just don't get that all over me. Ah, he answered it. Goodbye. In this week's train spot of the week, a class 350 bound for Edinburgh, 350-407, leaves platform 14 at Manchester Piccadilly. In this week's train spot of the week, a class 175 Coradia, River Trains Wales train, stands at platform 13B at Manchester Piccadilly. In this week's train spot of the week, Virgin Trains Pendolino 390 number 156 stands at platform 7 at Manchester Piccadilly Station, preparing departure for London Euston. 67! And some carriages behind it. Man, those seats look nice. And the DVT. And this week's Trainspot of the week, here at the East Lancashire Railway, the Lancashire Fusiliers, as well as the back end of the Flying Scotsman, can be seen at platform 4 at Bury Bolton Street. For the full video, see the link in the description below. Bye. And this week's Trainspot of the week. 319, 379, Northern Service to Liverpool Lime Street, departs from platform 14. Today is Tuesday, the 8th of March. Just want to say I'm sorry that this episode is so late.
Safety information is displayed above the entrance doors throughout this train.
67.